Hello guys, this is Levi. Today I'll be introducing a scalable file management framework called Dotty. So what is Dotty and why you need to use that? Let's get started. So first things, Dotty is a file management framework that's powered by ZShell, Homebrew, and ZInit. Dotty is originally developed by Helicer, who is a creator and the developer of Doom Emacs as well. He switched to MacOS years ago, and he dropped the support for his previous file management. I adopted his old version and developed on top of that. Thirdly, Dotty is scalable. Each component represents a set of configurations for different languages or tools. I'll dive deeper later on this section. Let's see what's inside the Dotty. The bootstrap script. So what do you need to install or get started with this framework? The bootstrap script is pretty straightforward. You can tell from here's the bootstrap.shell. As you can tell, this one, to get started, you just need to use bash and curl to download the script and evaluate that on your end. It's pretty straightforward, but keep in mind you have to be careful about this root permissions because, for example, on macOS, you will need to install the Xcode command line tools, which requires root permission. So you don't want to risk your PC to be exposed to some unsecured stuff. You need to make sure what's inside the scripts before evaluating them. So do take a look at this bootstrap script before you're actually evaluating that. And it has different setup for Linux and macOS. After that, it will just install and shell and gh, which is a GitHub command line tool. I use this gh for authentication because I see that it has a better security authentication way compared to classical Git credential management. Okay, then you just clone the repo and update the submodule, which is a config module. That's all. Then to get started, you can simply do install these components like ZShell or Arch or macOS. So what's next? The subdirectories represent components. What does subdirectory means in Dotty? Here, let's go to Dotty. Here you see desktop dev editor, miscellaneous, shell, window manager. These are the subdirectories. And if you go into, for example, dev, and you see there are plenty of other languages like Ruby, Rust, PHP, Node. Each one of them, for example, you go into Python and you can tell there are two files there. The init script, which I will talk about later, there's a breakdown here. I'll dive into this later. The init script just simply has pieces of functions, and each function well responsible for updating, installation, and cleaning. Like here, the install function, update function, and clean function, and also link function. Simple, right? Second thing, yeah, let's go back to the subdirectory thing. As you can tell, each, for example, PHP, it also has these two files here. And let's see, for example, GPG Docker, it also has these two files. The second files means some libraries and which license is being which license is the package using, and you need to be careful about this licensing stuff before installing on your company's laptop. Okay, then go back to third thing, the assets folder. The assets folder and the config folder. The assets folder, it has plenty of personal stuff. I just mark them, some fonts and some themes and Alfred settings, wallpaper. These are the heavy assets, and you don't really want to version control that all the time. You can just use the large file system, Git LFS to manage those things. So I keep that in a separate Git repo. Also, it's my private repo. You don't necessarily need the assets folder. I'll automatically check the script, check the assets folder existence. If not, then you can just skip that part during installation. For example, base macOS init. Here I will check the Dotty assets home. If this one exists, then the fonts exist, then I will install that on my PC. So the repo represent for this is the root directory that I use, and the assets folder inside that root directory. Okay, then go to config folder. So the config folder is pretty much the same structure as the root directory. As if you go to the config folder, it also has desktop, dev, editor, miss shell, stuff like that, same as the root directory. For each one of them, like for example, the desktop, it has awesome dust. Probably desktop is not a good idea. Go back and see. Let's go to dev. Dev has Go, LaTeX, Node, Python, Ruby, Rust, stuff like that. And if I go to here, dev, it also has these subdirectories. While in the config folder, for example, the Python has plenty of personal configs. That's being used for your installation scripts. Also your env dshell or nrc dshell. The config folder, each config folder will have the env dshell and rc dshell if necessary. So what's inside env dshell? Let's see, it export plenty of environmental variables. These environmental variables are being used, and as long as you activate this dev.python, as long as you install this component, this environment will be dumped into your Z shell. So how do we check the existence of the components? You can do Dotty dash L. You can see I activate the dev Python. So I can do this one. This is being activated, so the environmental variable can be found here. But for example, if we Dotty -d to delete dev/python, and then open a new terminal and invoke this guy, you see this one no longer exists. So let's roll back Dotty here. Let's see, install that again. Then it will be popped back. Third thing, let's find a dev RC file. Let's take a look at the Python's RC file. What's inside this RC file? There are plenty of aliases that I put here. Something that you might be interested in is this zinit. It's more of like modern digital snippet management system, and it can parallelize things so that your digital bootstrap time can be much faster. So how do I find out this thing is faster? You can do the init times. There are things that being parallelized here, but I cannot properly tell. As long as you use this wait lucid I don't remember right now. I think it's this syntax, or maybe this one. Ice. Yeah, I think it's the ice thing. Yeah, wait lucid is the right syntax for lazy loading. If you're not familiar with the init, you don't have to. You can just simply look at their the init host page. And talk to talk. What? You can simply go over their documentation and take a look at how they install scripts. All my Z-shell configuration is under config/shell/Z-shell. And for zinit stuff, you can go into zinit hook, and you can find everything that I use here. It's a little complex at first glance, as long as you go deeper, you will find that it's pretty simple. So for example, this is like the OMZ-shell library, and OMZL, L means the core library, and for OMZP, this is like their package library. You can use AWS Terraform, common aliases, copy directory, Jira, fancy, Control-Z, stuff like that. Yeah, so compared to other Z-shell management system, for example, Antigy, that I used before. Using this init, it can shorten the bootstrap time like twice or 3 times faster. So I highly recommended that, and I switched over to the init like months ago, and I love it. I'll stick with that maybe for next 10 or 15 years. Okay, that's okay. That is for the init. Let's go to the next section. Here's the we need to break down the install script. Go to the link. So here, what will the script do when you do Dotty base arch or shell / z shell? What does it do? First, it will set into the topic, which is a shell / z shell, and then it will do the init update if that directory exists. So if you are not familiar with the syntax of this shell, this folder pretty much means a wildcard expansion that finds. So for example, I go to this directory. This is my local /shell Dotty folder, and you see there are plenty of topics enabled here. It is the same thing for Dotty -L. Each enabled topic can be found in this local /shell, and this is simply aliases that maps to your config folder. And if the directory exists, the topic directory exists, then it will go ahead evaluate init update function. So you remember that init script has an update function and a link and a install function, right? So if the topic does not exist, then it will alias the config folder to the Dotty config home /topic to the data home folder topic, and then source the env /z shell. This is being used, for example, some installation script might use the some installation script might use the environmental variable, and for example, you change some home directory of some like pi linked home. If you change that, then the installation script might perform differently. It might put things in different folder, and you want to keep that. We want to evaluate them before perform the installation, and then it will install and then link all the sources. So for link, it's more like a lightweight installation of configure files. For example, let's take a simpler example. Python init. For link, it just copy make link. Make link is a shorthand for like an alias for okay, that is weird. No such variable. Where did I define? krnk. Oh, I define the Dotty, this file, this script. So make link is a function that utilizes ln and sym link flag ln-s eventually. It's a little complicated, but you can get rid of. You don't need to read this. You just keep in mind that it creates folder if the folder does not exist, and it also same link the two folders. This is the source folder, and the second argument is the target folder. And it also supports wildcard expansion like this. This means all the files start with dot. Okay. Then we go to Keynote again. So the install script is pretty simple. You don't have to be. It doesn't need to be very complex. And keep in mind, you need to keep each one of your components separate and standalone. Like you have plenty of you want to install packages in your dev/python dev/python init script, and you want to install like Node.js and different version of Node.js in your dev/node/init script. These things make your installation clean, and you only evaluate and install these pieces of softwares as only when you enable these components by using Dotty, dev node or dev python, things like this. And anytime you don't want it, you just delete them by using -d. So -a, -c, -d, -l. -l only evaluates the link, perform the link function. It doesn't perform the install function. It only performs the link function. It is useful when you only want to update your config files and you don't want to perform the installation from scratch. -r is reinstall the topic. -l, capital L, is list all enabled topics. Alright, and then finally deploy an M script. This is a little advanced topic, but I highly recommend it. You guys, if you're interested in how the things are implemented under the scene, then you can take a look at the deploy script here. Has all the functions that I use. How we bootstrap things, how we clean, and the second script is the M script, which is under Dotty/config/m. This one has plenty of functions that is like utilities that helps me to, like for example, figure out the OS, cache things, cache clear, also get GitHub's latest release URL, which it has instruction here. Like for example, you want to get the latest URL for this guy published the dive, which is a Docker utility 2, and you want to get the dev DEB version, which is for Debian, and you can simply invoke this function and it will return the latest release for you. This is more of like a utility function. Alright, let's go back to our slides. So why Dotty is scalable? As you can tell, each component represents a set of configuration. For example, dev/python, dev/node. And each component consists of 3 pieces. The init script, which is located at, for example, in your root directory and /dev/python. And your configuration files, which everything is placed under dev/python. And optionally, sometimes you have your assets files, which is being placed at root/assets. So how do you get started? Simply follow the quick start installation instruction, and you can boom, and it's pretty straightforward. You don't have to do your like complex configuration and move things around. But you do need to take a look and figure out your custom configurations. Do a global replace my name and my email address, just so you can, you could have a clean and your personal and private .files for your own, for personal use. You can simply fork this and apply changes on top of that. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And simply follow these instructions carefully. For Git, I do have a special Git configs that so for example, if you look at my Git config, I do not have my personal name or email address here, because I will place my personal Git config inside this directory. And if you cat this file, you'll find that things that I used, and I just because sometimes for your company laptop you have a different Git email address and a signing key. So in that case, you don't want to use that for your laptop. But there was another, like, you can also place this in as your in your company laptop, and inside your Git file, this one include if. This will use like this directory, every folder inside workspace directory. It will include this git-company-config file, and which will override your email address and signing key. So you do need to follow the setup local git config, invalidate this command. Yeah, and then you are good to go. Okay, then go back. Darksync support. Darksync, I do have. I know you guys are Darksync, love Darksync, but I personally don't use it. I just get used to Lightsync. So here's the things that you need to change. Just follow the instructions. Update the theme file. For example, This is Alacrity. Alacrity is a terminal that I use. You want to update the same file. It's under the Alacrity config folder. Alacrity /config/ Alacrity, and all the themes themes you can find here, and you can also add your own themes for your personal use. Secondly, you want to update the Tmax theme. If you use Tmax, you want to update this to light. To dark. Yeah, that's it for dark theme support. And okay, let's go to FAQs. If you encounter some problem, you can read my FAQ. I put down some best practice and some problems that I have throughout the my daily use. And put all my company specific stuff in shell work components. Okay, yeah, we go over the license inventory file already. So okay, so be careful about mis/private components, because that one has plenty of probably I highly not recommend it to install on your company laptop or machines, because it has non-open source software, and your company might reject it. For example, it's definitely not a good idea to install Dropbox on your company laptop, but I do want to install that on my personal laptop. So I put everything that is a little sensitive to companies, everything that I think I need it on my laptop, personal laptop, I put it here. And yeah, if you want to put anything specific for a company, you can put it into your shell/work components. You can simply follow the shell work readme. I do have a readme for shell/work readme that you can go over and understand why, what kind of things you want to have for your company configuration. Okay. Alright, then that's it for today's video. We don't have, I think it's pretty awesome framework. You have all the amazing things, and it's most important thing, it's scalable and you can customize on your own. I highly recommend it. You take a look at it, and it doesn't take long time for you to set up. You just need to clean your personal configuration, backs and up, and then go ahead and install, and using the bootstrap quick start bootstrap script to perform the installation. Alright, that's it for today. Thanks for watching.